If you have ever felt exhausted even after doing everything people expect of you, if you have ever smiled while feeling empty inside, then listen closely, because this story is not just a story. It is a mirror. Everyone believed Celine had a perfect life. She was dependable, gentle, always available. The kind of woman people trusted without question. The kind who never caused trouble. The kind who always understood. What no one realized was that her life looked full only because it was crowded with other people's needs. On the morning her quiet breaking point began, Celine stood in front of her mirror, staring at her reflection. She looked fine. Tired, maybe, but fine. Yet something in her eyes felt distant, as if she were watching her own life from far away. Her phone vibrated again. Another message, another request. Another reminder that someone needed her. Her instinctive response rose immediately. Yes, I'll do it. I'll help. She paused. For a moment, she didn't answer. Instead, she felt the weight in her chest, the tightness she had grown used to ignoring. She wondered, not for the first time, when her life had become a long list of obligations with no room for desire. Celine had learned early that love was conditional. As a child, she was praised when she behaved, when she helped, when she made things easier for others. Silence and disapproval followed when she asked for too much or wanted something different. Slowly, she learned the rule: to be loved, be useful, to be accepted, don't take up space. So she carried that rule into adulthood. She chose stability over passion. She chose approval over honesty. She chose peace for others over peace within herself. She became the woman everyone leaned on, and in the process, she learned how to disappear quietly. At work, Celine was efficient and reliable. She stayed late without complaint, covered shifts, fixed problems that weren't hers. Her effort was noticed, but rarely rewarded. She told herself it was fine. At least she was needed. At least she mattered. But one afternoon, sitting alone at her desk long after everyone else had gone home, she felt something crack. The office lights hummed above her as she stared at unfinished work that suddenly felt meaningless. Her hands shook. Her breathing grew shallow. Tears filled her eyes. Surprising her, she wasn't overwhelmed. She was empty. That night, she lay awake replaying her life in her mind. Conversations where she had swallowed her words. Moments she had betrayed her own instincts to keep others comfortable. Dreams she had postponed so long they no longer felt real. A thought surfaced, quiet but terrifying. If I keep living like this, I will wake up one day and realize I never truly lived at all. The next few days passed as usual, but Celine felt different. More aware. More sensitive to the moments where she ignored herself. When a colleague asked her to take on extra work that wasn't hers, she felt the familiar pull to agree. Instead, her heart racing, she said, "I can't." The word felt dangerous. Heavy. Final. Her colleague blinked, nodded, and walked away. That was it. Celine sat there stunned. No anger, no punishment, no rejection, just acceptance. The fear she had carried for years suddenly felt exaggerated, almost imaginary. That small moment changed everything. She began to notice how often she said yes out of fear. Not generosity, fear of disappointing, fear of being judged, fear of being forgotten. And she began, slowly, imperfectly, to say no. The guilt came immediately. It whispered that she was selfish, that she was changing, that people would leave. And some did. A friend stopped calling when Celine stopped always being available. A family member accused her of becoming distant. Those moments hurt more than she expected. She cried some nights, questioning whether choosing herself was worth the loneliness. But beneath the pain, something stronger grew. Respect, calm, a sense of wholeness she had never known. She started spending time alone without feeling anxious. She signed up for a class she had once dismissed as unrealistic. She went for walks with no destination, simply listening to her thoughts. For the first time, she asked herself what she wanted instead of what was expected. She discovered that her voice, when she finally used it, was steady, that her opinions mattered, that her worth did not disappear when she stopped sacrificing herself. Her relationship with her family changed. There were uncomfortable conversations and moments of tension. Celine learned that setting boundaries did not make her ungrateful, even when others said it did. She learned that being misunderstood was sometimes the price of being honest. At work, she stopped shrinking. She spoke up. She declined unreasonable demands. She applied for opportunities she once believed were not meant for someone like her. Not all of them worked out, but each attempt strengthened her confidence. One quiet evening, Celine sat by her window watching the city lights flicker on. She thought about the woman she used to be. The woman who believed love had to be earned through exhaustion. The woman who thought her value came from how much she gave away. She felt no shame, only compassion. That version of her had survived the only way she knew how. Now, she knew better. She understood that living for others may earn approval, but it costs authenticity, and no one truly benefits when you abandon yourself. Celine had not become cold or uncaring, she had become real. She still loved deeply, but no longer at her own expense. She had learned that choosing herself was not selfish. It was necessary. If you see yourself in this story, remember this: you are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to build a life that feels like yours. The moment you stop living for others is not the moment you lose love. It is the moment you finally give yourself a chance to live.